Welcome back. So after getting the location, after getting the latitude and the longitude, we need to make a request to a service in order to get the weather of that location. So basically we need to make an HTTP request. And I'm going to use Ajax to accomplish that. And here I'm going to create a function, get weather request, which is a function that is going to be executed and get the weather from an external service. And I'm going to obviously pass the latitude and the longitude. So let's create this function. So here I'm going to create it, function get weather request, which is an HTTP request to get the weather. And it takes two parameters, the latitude and the longitude. And in order to start making Ajax request, we first need to have a variable, global variable, so that we can create an object of the XML HTTP request class. So here I'm going to create, at the top of the file, I'm going to create a variable called HTTP request. And this will be accessible throughout the script. So inside the get weather request, what we need to do is to create an object. HTTP, we use the HTTP request, equals to new XML HTTP request. And it's actually fairly simple to create an HTTP request, an Ajax request in JavaScript. You first need to HTTP request dot open to use the open function. And the open function takes two parameters. The first one is the method, which is going to be a get request. And the second parameter, which is the service, the URL of the service that we will call in order to get the weather. And for now, I'm going to just leave it empty. And then the second thing is just to use the HTTP request dot send to send that request. And we also need a way to handle what's coming from the server. So I'm going to use the HTTP request dot on ready change, and it's going to be equal to a function. That function will handle what's coming from the server, whether the server responds successfully or not. So here we can say handle weather response, because this is the response. This function will handle the response that is coming from the server, and we need obviously to create it. I'm going to create it here, function and handle response. And this might seem very complicated, but actually it is not. They are just few small functions, as you can see, few functions, and they will get the job done. And here inside the handle weather response, what we need to do is first to use if statement to check the status. So first here, I'm going to use the HTTP request dot ready state. If it's equal to XML HTTP request done, then we will proceed. And we also need to check if the HTTP request dot status equals to 200. If it's successful, then at this point we will have the weather information. Otherwise, we will have errors. So in case of success, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use the console log to display the content, HTTP request dot response text, which includes the content, the weather content. Else, if we have an error, we can also just display it, or we can alert that error if you wish. You can use the alert, and you can say there was an unexpected error. And we are pretty much done. The only thing that remains is that we need just to get the URL of an external service in order to get the weather.